Hey, how's it going, fellow gamers? I made this video to try and help anyone who is currently struggling in Warzone. Whether it be that you can't seem to survive until the end, have trouble winning your gunfights, or for those of you who are lost and just don't know what to do in general. This video is mostly aimed at beginners and intermediate players, but hopefully even an advanced player can get something out of this. I also want to take this time to say I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel, so if you enjoy this content and want more, feel free to subscribe. It would help my channel tremendously. And with all that out of the way, let's roll the intro. Alright, so let's get started with tip number 1. Warm up. I used to be guilty of not doing this before starting my gaming session. Warming up is extremely important for many reasons, too many to even mention in this video. As a matter of fact, my next video will be on how I warm up every time I get on. It is underrated and most people are too lazy to do it, but I can tell you 100% that if you start implementing a warm-up session of about 15 minutes every time before you hop on a match, you will see a drastic improvement in your gameplay. Tip number 2 is having a good loadout. It makes me laugh sometimes when I kill a player and pick up his gun only to find that his personal gun is horrendous. It's pretty much unusable and I am better off using a weapon that spawns on the map. In this day and age, there's no excuse for running bad guns, especially with all these best loadout videos out there recommending which guns and which perks you should be using in Warzone. If you run some random guns, you are at a disadvantage, and in a game like Warzone where you need to win your gunfights, you pretty much are lowering your chances of victory by a lot. So do me a favor, if you are new and have a class that looks like this, please search on YouTube for a best gun class setup to help you succeed. I promise you it will help your gameplay. Tip number 3 is you have to play with more awareness. As much as people complain about the audio in this game, it is a huge tool for knowing where people are, especially in this game where you can hear people from a mile away. A big reason I think some beginners are at a disadvantage is because they're using a regular pair of earphones to chat and depend on their TV for the audio. I'm not telling you to go buy a pair of $200 headsets, but definitely try to get yourself a decent headset that can block out the noise of your surroundings. That way you can hear footsteps more effectively. It can really save your life, especially when you hear someone running behind you and you turn on them. And while we are on the topic of awareness, you should be taking notes in your head of at least what direction you hear gunshots coming from. Because if you make a mental note that you heard some shots coming from the west and the circle just happens to be closing to the east, you now have an idea that 100% someone will be coming from the west, so you can kill him while he is on the way to the circle. Practicing little mental notes like this will increase your awareness in the game and make you an overall better player. Tip number 4, learn how to push players. What is the point of running a UAV and knowing there is a person camping on the second floor of a house and just running up the stairs? If you have pretty much any tacticals or explosives, the first thing you need to be doing is throwing them up there before you even attempt to push. Too many times have I seen players who just push up those stairs like it is an even gunfight. Know that when you are clearing a house, you are at a severe disadvantage, so use your equipment wisely. Now if you ask me, what if I don't have equipment? Then you have no business pushing that camper, and if you do, you will most likely lose the gunfight and will have no reason to complain. Now if you are forced for some reason, like the storm makes you go into the house, then take the gunfight, but make sure you shoulder peek so you at least have an idea where to start shooting as soon as you challenge him. Tip number 5 is choose your battles wisely. Like the previous tip about not rushing a camper unprepared, the same goes for any fight you are in. Unless you get shot in the back and have to turn around and fight for your life, there is no reason to be fighting someone while you are at a clear disadvantage. An example would be like if you are out in the open and you see a person 2 feet from a house. The last thing you should be doing is shooting at him, because now not only does he know where you are, but he can literally get in any window and shoot back at you while you are a sitting duck, because you are out in the open and have no cover to defend yourself. Make sure that you have the discipline to not engage in a fight that has all the odds stacked against you. My next tip is have a rotation plan. First off, if you are going for a win, rotation should always be on your mind. As soon as you see the new circle come up on the map, you should already be formulating a plan to make sure that you're able to make it to the next circle safely. If you see that you need to cross a river or the airport runway, which seems to be the case in 90% of the games, you need to be ready to do so. You need to look at the map and find the route that leaves you the least exposed when getting to the new circle. Now if you have a trophy system and you know you have to cross an open field, the best play would be to put the trophy on a vehicle and just drive through. I mean, at this point that vehicle is pretty much invincible. Which brings me to my next point. You should be picking up equipment. I usually pick up everything I can find because you never know what the next situation is gonna throw at you. That includes picking up gas grenades, stim shots, and even barricades. My priority is always shield boxes and trophy systems, but when I don't have either, items like dead silence, ammo boxes, and barricades come in handy. You should learn to use anything and everything in a fight, because the last thing you want is to lose a fight because you didn't pick up that equipment that could have saved your life. And last but not least, if you find the Claymore Bouncing Betty, make sure you pick it up and lay it down. You never know, you might get a random kill out of it. Tip number 8 is contracts. You should have a contract active most of the time. Early game, a supply box contract is amazing because you can rake in the cash and buy yourself an early loadout, which is super effective early game, or even when you're landing from your gulag. After that, your priority should be collecting at least 2 to 3 recons to know where the next couple circles will be, so you could be prepared for your rotation. And then it's nothing but bounties, so you can know where an enemy is for a good couple of minutes. Tip number 9 is how to gulag. The gulag is another place where I see beginners struggling. A lot of new guys I see tend to just sprint into battle and end up dying by the other player who's just listening for footsteps. There are many variables to how to win your gulag fight, but in general, if I could give you some advice, it would be this. Do not run around like Rambo, shoulder peek lanes, and pay attention to rocks flying around because it can definitely give your opponent's position away. What helps me is picturing like I'm playing a match of Search and Destroy, and that helps me slow down my gameplay and really focus on the fight. And my last tip for this video is gonna be talking a little bit about the endgame. I mean, endgame is another topic that can be a whole video in of itself. The most important thing I can highlight is to make sure that you are not running around at this point. If you have made it to the point where there are 20 people left, this is where camping is acceptable in my eyes at least. Try to get into as little fights as possible because everyone will be waiting to either third party or ambush from here on out. Do not be so afraid of the gas because by now you should have a gas mask. Imagine now that every house, every shed, and every building has someone camping in it. Rotations are so important now. Depending on your position in the last circle, you should be right in the edge of the gas if you are outside. If you are in a house that is inside the circle, you were blessed. Protect that position because you're in a good position. Do not be afraid to take a few ticks on your gas mask if it means you can surprise your enemy. Just make sure, and I can't emphasize this enough, make sure that if you start a fight while in the gas with your mask on, you finish it before you walk in because the mask animation will cost you the fight. And when there are 3 people, make sure that you are the one that's third partying and not the aggressive player looking for the last 2. And last but not least, treat armor plates like they are gold in endgame. Because in most cases there will be no shops left, and even if there was, everybody's gonna have their eye on it. I just want to say thanks to everyone who stayed until the end of the video. It means a lot and you are the real MVPs. This was my first tips video, but plan on making more helpful content. So if you enjoyed, smash that like button and subscribe. Also, if you want to see me in action, I stream on Twitch. Feel free to follow me there so you can be notified when I go live. Link is in the description below. I hope this video helps you in your Warzone career. God bless you and have a great day.